In a world obsessed with AI, we seem to forget one simple truth. Humans don't run on code. We run on emotional safety, connection, meaning, and belonging. Humans at Work is a podcast where we are exploring the exact KPIs that we need to meet in order to earn the ultimate currency, happiness. Think about it. Each one of us spends at least 1/3 of our lifetime at work. That makes happiness more than a perk. It needs to be an ROI. It needs to be the return on investment that we get in this lifetime. Welcome to Humans at Work. Welcome to another episode of Humans at Work, where we talk about the KPIs that you have to meet to earn the ultimate currency called happiness. And I am your host, Chetna Chakravarthy. Today in the studio with me, I have Dr. Louise Lambert, who is a positive psychologist and also, the way I say it, the queen of happiness. Because every intro of hers that I have read puts that word next to her name. Okay. So I'm going to dive right in and ask you, what is the definition of happiness? And not what our textbook tells us or what Instagram tells us, but from everyday life, day-to-day life. What is happiness?
I am going to give you the textbook definition because I think it actually matters. So in positive psychology, we define it as life satisfaction and subjective well-being. So those are two fancy ways of basically saying, are you satisfied with your life? So that's a perspective that you look at it overall. So essentially you look back at your life and say, did I more or less get what I wanted? Is it more or less the way I want it? And then subjective well-being has to do with how you feel on a daily basis. So are you experiencing positive emotions or are you feeling negative emotions all day long? So essentially in the work context, it would be, are you feeling angry, resentful, and pissed off a lot? Or are you feeling good and happy at work? Yeah. So it's just an emotional quality.
So I have a question that this has taken me to it. And that is the fact that a lot of people are not angry or resentful at work. They don't want to take on the responsibility of going to work and earning the money. Okay, there is this fight in our head of wanting a carefree life. And it may be because we're tired or we're frustrated or wherever it's coming from. But there is this piece of, I have to go to work again today. And why can't life just be fun and easy?
Okay.
Right? And if you had to put work in context of it being a part of or a way to be happy. Or that it matters. It's an ingredient in that cauldron. How would you put it?
So I'm going to flip the equation. Again, everything I do stems from the research literature, and this is going to make people a little bit unhappy to hear. But, when we think about what is the biggest determinant of happiness at work, is it you're happy in your life and you bring that to work, or is it being happy at work and bringing that to your life? So I'm going to ask you, which do you think it is?
I would say being happy in life. No, can't it be bits of both?
Okay. So
can it be bits of both? Because
both are true, definitely. But it turns out the evidence is heavier on the side of being happy in life, and then bringing that to work. So yes, there are workplaces that are very unhappy and will guaranteed to make you miserable, and then there are other workplaces that are okay. But if we're not happy in life, we make them unhappy. So in short, this is where we see that workplace happiness, well-being, whatever word you want to use, is a two-way responsibility. It's kind of that social contract between employees, ensuring that they are happy in life and bring it to work, but also that workplaces provide the conditions for people to be happy.
So the next question, what are people misunderstanding or getting wrong about being happy at work or satisfied at work? Like maybe they have parameters, right? And usually the usual parameters are money. Am I getting paid enough? Do I have a designation? Am I being appreciated? Am I being recognized? These are just 2-3 of them.
Yeah.
But are there more that they should be kind of considering and be self-aware of in order to be happy at work and not just point a finger at the boss or the organization or, play that blame game?
Yeah. So again, that is a two-way street. So if you are being recognized for what you do and not just, the annual certificate, to whom it may concern, thank you for, oh my God, these are awful. Please stop doing this. Okay, stop it. These make people very unhappy.
Employee of the month.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. And here's your gift certificate to a store that you'll never shop at. But when recognition is done right, it's done once a week, every so often. It's tied to something real and tangible. And it could be, you were amazing in that presentation last week. We knew we hired you well because you are this. So it's about who you are. You're recognized for what you do, but people appreciate you being there.
Right.
So often, organizations will do appreciation, but they don't always do it as good as they could. So that's one place. And people can feel when it's genuine and it is elevating and uplifting, and when it's just, all right, did you send out the certificates? Yeah, okay, done.
Yes.
So a lot of it is, if you're going to do it well. Right. Because people feel that genuine authenticity, and they feel like they are seen, they are heard, and they are valued. And that is what is missing in many workplaces today. Right. So on paper, we do what we should be doing, but there's a little bit of humanness that is lacking to it. So that's one part of your answer. The other part of your answer, though, is, as you rightly said, is what we bring to the workplace. So sometimes we feel stifled in life. We're kind of, same. I'm doing the same job every day. Well, that's because that's what the job is. You probably are doing the same thing every day. So how can you either introduce something new to it, intervene with a different element of it, or use your strengths to do it in a slightly different way? Or where's your responsibility to go to your manager and say, I need a new project. Give me something new. So learning something new, stretching ourselves, stretching our skills is a great way to feel energized and alive again. So doing the same thing, even if you're very good at it, you eventually become bored. So part of it is understanding our own psychology, that we hit these plateaus when we're good at something, as we should. Once you improve, you get good at it. Then it gets boring. And then it's our responsibility to get more, create more, keep climbing. And if you can't, in some organizations you may not be able to, then it's be thinking about, are there lateral moves that you can make? Or are there other areas in your life where you can start learning something new? And that might be, I'm learning to play the guitar. So at 5:00, I'm excited to leave work because I have something else to do with my life.
So that brings me to another. I love how this is flowing right now.
I never follow instructions, so it doesn't matter what you ask me.
No, and the thing was this, right? These conversations should be like this. And so the next piece that comes to me is that at this point, Dubai, the UAE as a government, as a country, has put out an intention to make this place a place where we thrive, right? And that means they don't want people to be burnt out at work. They don't want people to have mental health issues. They want people to be happy. They want people to go to work happy and get out happy, right? But the individual obstacle or the individual standing in his or her own way, deterrent, is identity. Because for a lot of us, our identity comes only and only from work. Which means that then how does this person go on to find a sort of a work-life balance?
Well, how does this person go on to find a life?
Right? That's better put. Yeah, that's better put.
So I think this is a great question, because we put so much responsibility on work to make us happy, to make us fulfilled, to make us self-actualize. It's a job, okay? Let's calm down, everybody. Yes, work is where we go to be great. Absolutely. And it should bring out the best in us. And we should be learning and growing and thriving in some way or dimension. But if that isn't there, not just if it's not there, but even if it is there, we should also be equally doing the same thing in our lives. And this is the big piece we're not doing. So we basically hold our breath, we go to work, work. And then we get home and we're like, exhale, 45 minutes. Okay, got to cook, do laundry, a little bit of Netflix, and then we go to bed and we do it all over again. We don't fill the tank with things of our own. So, earlier I joked about the guitar, but it could be the guitar. It could be CrossFit. It could be going to choir. It could be just walking every night with a neighbor. I don't care what it is. We're not living our lives. Yeah. Now, part of that is we have long hours. Second piece of that is in Dubai, you're probably going to be stuck in traffic an hour going, an hour coming back. You are going to be exhausted when you get home. Okay. So it is getting harder to have a life, but this is where we need to be insisting on having a life, because it's also the recipe to be avoiding burnout. Yeah. If all you do is work and you don't have a life, of course you're going to burn out.
And then my question is, what are you earning for?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that money? At some point, okay, initially there are needs. You want to buy the house, you want to send your parents some money. There are needs. I understand that you have to send your kids to school. Yes, I get all of that. But after a certain point, money starts compounding if you are doing it right. Yeah. And then it's supposed to afford you something, right? It's affording you a life. And then are you really living that life?
And many of us wait to live our lives. We wait for retirement. That's not guaranteed. We wait for the weekend, which is usually just spent recovering and doing laundry and other things. Or we wait for the evening, but then we're too tired because we've been stuck in traffic and now we're angry and annoyed and, and there's still food to cook and et cetera. We're not living our lives. We keep putting it off. And I get it. Like there are days I'm stuck in traffic. I'm ready to punch somebody in the face. And I get home and I'm like, I only want Netflix. I don't want to do anything. But those days when I push myself to go back out, to meet a friend for dinner, to go to an event. Last week I went to a debate. Then you go and you're like, actually, this is life. Yeah. This is living. Yeah. So we need to endure that little bit of pain and find a way to live our lives. Because this is it.
I would like to add here that Dubai makes this possible because there's so much to do in this city. Yeah. There's so many different groups, so many different communities, so many things of interest that you can follow, that it's not difficult to have a life outside of work in this city.
No. And it's very easy to make friends precisely because we're all expats.
Exactly. We're all from outside,
And everybody's looking for a friend. Yeah. So I've literally walked up to people like, hey, you want to be my friend? Okay, done. Perfect. Now we're friends, it's that easy. Yeah. But even inviting people off of LinkedIn to a networking event, it is easy to do. Yeah. But we don't do it.
And I think the key word that you said, and that really is the magic word, is push yourself. Yeah. You're tired, but push yourself, because when you do this, it re-energizes yourself. Yes. That's not an expense, that's refueling. Yeah.
And that's the equation people don't understand. So they think, but I'm too tired. You are mentally tired. You're not physically tired. It's impossible. You've been sitting at a desk all day. Yeah. So you have to push through that mental fatigue, and suddenly you find the energy.
And you'll snap out of it.
And it's finding those restorative activities. Yeah. But I think we think, this is going to burn me out to do. It's going to take energy, but it's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look towards the organizations for a moment, right? Because we are looking at the individual and yes, we need to do all these things. Yeah. Great, fine. But when I look at organizations, what is it that they're not getting?
So they continue to see well-being as an individual issue. It is not. Now, we know, so I do a lot of programming, I do a lot of interventions in organizations. Everything that I do stems from the research literature. So I am a psychologist. I'm also a researcher in positive psychology. And there's extraordinary research out there, all converging on the exact same fact that managers drive up to about 70% of employee well-being, which means leave your employees alone. Yeah. You want to improve their lives? Leave them alone. Deal with managers. That's where it is. And organizations continue to spend money on, we're going to do ice cream day. We're going to do I have nothing against ice cream, no problem. But there's no return on this. Yeah. Zero. But also it sends the message to employees, you're the issue. Now we're going to do all this stuff to you, which does nothing anyway, because that's not the issue. Yeah. And it's really just a waste of money. And it actually undermines the well-being agenda, because now your employees are like, Really? We're going to do yoga again? Yeah, this is not going to help my issue with my manager.
Yeah.
That's where the issue is.
So the bigger piece to solve is communication, conflict resolution,
and
teamwork.
I'd even go further than that. It's teaching managers the micro actions to build well-being, to sustain well-being, to nurture well-being in teams, to be asking about well-being. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Like not just at work, yes, but also outside of work.
Yeah.
Are you living your life?
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay? To be taking an interest in people's lives. To be fixing relationships, to be taking responsibility to say, we've never gotten along, but you know what? That's on me as a manager. I need to find a way here. So part of it is about relationships. And this is another thing that, we tend to focus on individuals. We place the responsibility for well-being inside people's heads. That's not where it is. Yeah. It is in the spaces in between.
Yeah.
So relationships. When the rate of loneliness in workplaces is huge. In the UAE, it's 28%. It's higher than mental health issues. But we keep focusing on mental health issues. Yeah. Mental health issues, the prevalence rate in the UAE is 14%. You can check the Ministry of Health website.
And we're not even looking at loneliness as a mental health issue because
it's not a mental health issue. It's a social health. It's a social health issue. And I think that, it's a new term. So people are like,
what do I do with this?
What do I do with that? It's about being intentional about relationships. And increasingly today, we're all on our phones. We're all using AI. Nobody's talking to anybody. Yeah. Like that's the point of intervention right there. Yeah. So forget the yoga. People can do that on their own. But it's about how do we rebuild community in workplaces? How do we see people so that they feel heard? They feel seen. They feel that they belong. People are desperate for belonging somewhere.
I remember reading this research which said that when people have friends at work, they're more likely to stick around for many more years than otherwise.
Well, even one good friend at work, so this is the Gallup studies, the rate of engagement is 2 to 7 times higher. That's huge, right? I've been doing lots of talks recently for senior leaders around this topic. So thinking about social health, how do we rebuild this social fabric and social capital in organizations? And it's interesting because at first people are like, why are we talking about this? It's work, right? We're there to work. We're not there to make friends. Actually, we are, and we should be. Because that's what ties people to the workplace. Yeah. Otherwise, what ties you there? We're all on our laptops. Yeah. I can work from my kitchen table. Yeah. It is about relationships.
Yeah, and I will vouch for this because when I worked a 9-to-5 job, I remember that we were 3 teams and we were all very tight-knit because we got along as friends. And so we would take coffee breaks together, we'd eat lunch together. We had a food drawer.
Which everybody needs food.
Yeah, which the rest of the office would leave Post-its for us to say thank you for the food because they were working late and we supplied with them with some energy.
It's like the squirrel cage, right?
Yeah. But and this is a group. We're still friends. Yeah. And we would do Secret Santa outside of office completely on our personal time. But when the going got tough in the organization, when pink slips happened, mergers happened, those kind of things that happened. Yeah. We had each other to kind of stay sane and stick around, help each other look for something if we needed, or at least know that we were in this together and we'd go from from Noah's Ark to the island together, right? We'd find it.
And that tends to happen naturally, but it's increasingly becoming rarer and rarer in organizations. So part of the work I do is to kind of highlight to senior leaders, you have permission to intervene. And to create these relationships. It's what people need. Giving everybody a psychologist, that's not what we need. We need to be heard. We need to be heard by people who are like us. And then we go, oh my God, did you hear what happened in the meeting today?
You need gossip rooms.
Yes.
You need gossip rooms.
Right? That will help your mental health issues better than anything.
Yeah. Okay, so coming to this, you need gossip rooms.
and chip drawers.
And chip drawers. One of the big things that people complain about is the politics at work. Yeah. Why are we so averse to politics at work? Why it's such a threat? Where there's judgment and there's criticism and there's this is happening, right?
Precisely, because sometimes politics are petty, right? And and they really make us miserable. But again, this is where a good manager in the micro actions, the micro skills to nurture well-being, that is one of them, is to deal with incivility. And we never deal with incivility. And what are incivilities? Incivilities are all those little annoyances. It is the stuff that makes people unhappy. And those incivilities are generally smaller than the big things that would get reported to HR.
Yeah.
It's small enough. It goes under the radar. In fact, it's too small for us to make a big deal out of it, but it's big enough that it actually impacts our productivity and performance.
Yeah.
So one of the studies I am looking at right now is looking at what is the impact of incivilities at work. And again, it's a bigger impact than mental health issues, but we keep focusing on mental health issues, right? Yeah. And so a good manager will say, oh, I'm sorry, do you want to rephrase that one more time? Because it felt a bit, I don't know. Help me understand that. When something comes out not so nice. And it's important to address those because that is what impacts people. So, that does go into politics, is the tone, the little sarcasm, the insults. It's all the little stuff that makes people go, oh, I hate this person. Or what did she say? And this is the stuff that really gives us headaches.
Yeah.
Although it can also make life a little fun sometimes.
Sometimes. That's why I said it depends. I'm guessing what I'm understanding from what you're saying is there are layers or there are levels, right? Yeah. And there's a certain level that you never get to. Yeah. It should not be, which is incivility, right? But then there is a certain band of allowance for things that are not malicious and things that are kind of let it
and that also brings people sometimes closer together, having a common enemy, right? Now, that's not a workplace strategy, find a common enemy, but it's just to say that incivilities are a manager's job, so that you don't have to be ruminating about it all day. And that impacts your performance at work.
But that means your manager has to be cued into the people and not be with blinders on, drowning in his own laptop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he or she has to be keeping an eye. And
attentive to people. That is what managing is. Right. So yes, you are managing the work, but more than that, you are managing people.
And this is not something that most get.
No, we don't really train managers how to manage people. So usually how do people become managers? They're very good at this job. And now we tell them, now you're going to supervise other people who are going to do this job.
Right.
So now we've left a hole because now this person was good at their job and we've removed them. But also we've put them into another role that they're probably less good at.
Yeah.
And now it involves managing people. And now everybody's suffering for it.
Yeah.
So there's also interesting literature on this. Also, the best managers are generally don't pick the people who want to. Actually, pick the people who are kind of a little bit hesitant and more humble and saying, I don't know if I can do a good job. They'll probably do a really good job because they're attentive to people and what other people think.
Yeah, they're cautious.
And they're good with people.
Yeah.
So don't take the person who's really good at their job because now their productivity will go down, right? So part of it is also coming back to organizations and saying, how is it that you're making these decisions around who's going to manage?
So talk to me a little bit about micromanagers. The ones who are sitting at different levels, especially when they're running teams that are hectic, right? Where the job roles are hectic and your timelines are very strict or everything was wanted yesterday. And this is something that's very common, I feel, in the media industry or in the events industry, right? Because everyone's running on fire. There's an event, there's your troubleshooting.
And it must be done well.
And it has to be done well, right? And then you have the micromanager who maybe an achiever and a perfectionist and not realizing that that's who they are or wherever that's coming from.
And sometimes they're anxious because they need to answer to somebody and that might not go well, right? So, I understand micromanagers, but also they need to start developing a little bit of insight going, when I'm double checking or literally standing over somebody's shoulder all the time, they actually end up doing worse. Yeah. So what do I need to go do to entertain myself for an hour, to resist the urge, okay, but to give people that space and permission to do what they've been hired to do.
Yeah.
And if they can't, I will deal with it at that moment.
Yeah.
Right? So
troubleshoot if there is trouble.
If there's trouble.
Don't create trouble because you want to troubleshoot.
Yes, because all you have is that.
Yeah, because you've got to keep doing something. You've got to be busy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about organizations and how they're doing things right now. Okay, one of the, and I asked this, I think there'll be a few more episodes where I will ask the same question. Okay. There is a debate where organizations say that we organize things for well-being and wellness, but the employees don't attend.
Yeah, because
they're not interested.
They don't want.
Right. And then there is a debate that, or the other side that comes up, which comes from coaches, which comes from us who are facilitators, who get up and say that, but you're not making time for them to come. Number one, they're buried under work. You're not moving deadlines. There's no room for them.
Yeah.
And number two, like you said, they don't find it useful.
Yeah.
Right? So what needs to shift? Do we do away with wellness days? Because
yes,
I would love
please.
to do away with wellness days.
Yeah, please. So the whole calendar of events, and it literally, so about an hour before coming here, I was talking to a woman. She's like, "We're doing ice cream on Friday." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I'm just like, so I think. Can I be blunt?
Please, please.
So a few things I'm seeing. One, well-being at work is terribly misunderstood. So we are equating it with, hey, let's have a happy pizza party, Pop-Tarts, like all this nonsense. It's generally very unscientific. It's not tied to an ROI. There's no measure. We measure nothing. And then we say, yeah, but people really liked it. But are we entertaining people? I like pizza. But just because I like something doesn't mean it's shifting my well-being in any direction.
Well-being is not the same as entertainment.
Correct. Okay. So a lot of organizations are doing loads of entertainment. Goodness, I'd love to get my hands on their budget. Lots of entertainment. It's not moving the needle at all, but they don't know it because they're not measuring it anyways. Yeah. So I've been told by a few people in HR, well, you can't measure well-being. And I'm thinking, what do you think psychologists do? Of course you can measure well-being. All of this stuff can be measured. If we measure depression, anxiety, mental health issues, we can measure life satisfaction, subjective well-being, psychological safety. All of this stuff can be measured. So that's the first piece. We need to start measuring. If what you're doing does not change the well-being outcome, you are wasting money. So one of the things I hold organizations accountable for is really asking CEOs, and I've had some of these conversations with them, and they're like, oh, ice cream does nothing. So why do you not hold your human capital team to the same standard as you would every other department? Because every other department has to show how they spent the budget that year and what was the impact. Yeah. But when it comes to well-being, we don't do that. Yeah. So good organizations properly define well-being as either life satisfaction, subjective well-being, psychological safety, whatever. There's like a whole bunch of different ways to understand it. And it might be different in different organizations. But they do a pre, they do a post, and they do sustained measures over time. And if those aren't changing, your intervention's not working.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And your intervention also needs to stem from the science and research. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just making stuff up.
Yeah. True.
Right?
True.
The other thing I'm seeing in a lot of HR teams, and this is no fault of their own, we're taking people who used to work in communications and marketing, and now we're putting them in HR. So their metric for success is how many people showed up. Yeah. But if you're giving people pizza, of course they're showing up. Yeah. But again, that doesn't mean anything. True. So there's great confusion here. And yet, and the final argument I'm going to say is that there's also this huge chasm, if you will, a big divide between practitioners and researchers. So people in organizations are like, research has no real world application. And I'm thinking, well, we could tell you that's not going to work. But if you want to spend the money on your own and figure that out, help yourself. Yeah. So research is very clear on this. In fact, there was a great study done by William Fleming, which I always refer people to. But there's thousands of studies like this showing stop with your individual level initiatives that don't work.
Yeah.
You're just wasting money. And organizations continue to do them, wasting money and not moving well-being. But I would say further than that, they undermine the well-being agenda because, again, employees are like, is this well-being? It's ice cream? What is this nonsense? That's why they're not coming to your ice cream day.
So
it's a waste of time and a distraction from work.
Right. So then let me ask you this. What should organizations be doing? Is it better for them to give employees something that's more consistent and sustainable, whether it is a psychologist on call, whether it's a coach on call, whether it's what
because this is just putting out fires.
Right.
So it's looking at, again, measure listen to your people, right?
Yeah.
Every employee knows exactly what they need to have a better day at work. But we don't ask them that because we might get uncomfortable truths. But that's what you need to be tackling.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, it's my manager this, the workload, I don't have time to do this, or I don't even get what you're asking me, like, because I've been asked by 8 different people and I answered 8 different people and all 8 people want a different thing, but it's actually the same project.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
So let's just get the basics right, okay? The other thing is, again, looking at, we don't just want to put out fires, but we want managers to elevate people.
Yeah.
To bring out the best in people so that people leave your organization better than when they went in. Work is where we should be going to be great.
Yeah.
Not where we just walk out and go,
the day is over.
Another 8 hours of never getting back in my life, right?
Yeah.
And there are skills, there are ways for managers to do that. So for me, the entire employee well-being, the whole value proposition is give me an amazing manager.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And if you give me that, I don't need a psychologist. I don't even need a coach. I don't need anything. I don't even need
give the managers, the psychologists, and the coaches then.
Well,
They're the ones who need it because they need to communicate a certain way. But I have a question here about HR, right? Poor people, they get the most brickbats.
They have a difficult job also.
I'm guilty of it too, because sometimes I wonder what they're actually doing in an organization because they are not able to handle a lot of these issues or people complaints.
It's not their job.
They're not able.
It's not their job.
It's not their job.
These are managers' jobs.
Right. And then human resource is sitting in policy and process. And then employees are not finding it comfortable to go and talk about something that their manager is doing. Like if your manager is toxic, to use Instagram words at this point of time, who should an employee be going to?
Yeah. So this is difficult. So ideally, again, you should have a great manager. You should also have great peers, right? So this is another thing we kind of focus on ourselves, and unless you've got the snack drawer and the gossip room and stuff, right? But there are also skills that we can use to help our peers and saying, helping them be assertive, helping them ask for what they need, helping them advocate for their rights, if that is the situation. Sometimes the only place employees have left to go is to go complain to HR, and they're like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is why, again, I come back to organizations need to be focusing on the people who are the most influential, and that's managers. And we need them trained to deal with people, not just the work.
So that HR is not turning into a complaint box.
And also policing people. That's not their job.
Yeah, but that's what they do
they
a
end
lot
up being the bad cop, and it's like, but that's not their job either.
Yeah, I never looked at it that way, because in my head I was like, I mean, if I have a problem with my manager, I would say go to HR. But you are right, HR is not equipped to handle this. They are essentially there for policies, processes, keeping things going.
And organizing the trainer to get the training to get you good managers.
Yeah. And doing that whole bit.
So we need to be thinking about well-being that is embedded into processes and practices and interactions, or versus a service we do to people.
Okay, so then the word culture.
Mm-hmm.
The word culture. Because if you build an army of managers who are good at taking care of their people, and I don't want to use the word handling or managing people, I'm talking about taking care of their people, then the culture shifts
on its own.
And then that makes the place more livable and more thrivable in?
I would say yes, but again, don't forget who's on top of the managers. So they also need to be supported to be able to create these changes as well. So again, looking at the research literature, there are some very clear actions that senior leaders need to be putting into place themselves to be supporting these bigger changes. So again, you don't want to be like, you need to go to training, you need to go to training.
Yeah.
Just hold on, they'll be back. Okay, but a step higher, senior leaders also need to be saying, how's that training going? Is there something I can help you with?
So it is something that has to be top down. It has to come from there. Right?
Managers also need support because they're the sandwich.
Your CEO is also a manager.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's anybody handling a team is a manager.
Yes, a people leader.
That's your basic definition. Anyone handling more than themselves.
Is a people leader.
Is a people leader. And then they need to be functioning in a certain way.
And they also need to be understanding. So I've been in many organizations where, they sign the check. We all take a picture.
Yeah.
And then we never see them again. Yeah. So senior leaders need to be dropping into these sessions. They need to be visible. They need to be asking about how is this training going? More importantly, managers need to be held accountable for using these behaviors. So the way I run my programs, there's a series of behaviors that we know from the research literature build well-being in teams, but then we hold the manager accountable to that. How often did you do ABC in the last 2 weeks? But then, and of course they're like, oh, all the time, okay, whatever. Team, how often did your manager do ABC? Okay. Right. But then also senior leaders need to be, again, asking about that. You are now responsible for the well-being of your team.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at their score this month, it went up, it went down. How can we help you?
Yeah.
So it's really about nurturing well-being and leading with well-being in mind. Again, it's not something we do to people. It's not an event. It's not a circuit. It's not a celebration, but it's conditions we create so that people can be well.
Right. So,
and everybody's responsible for that.
Yeah. To kind of bring this down into like a simplified way of saying it, individuals need to focus on building a life outside of work, and it needs to thrive together. That's one aspect, so that you come to work happy. And
not tired.
Refueling stations.
Resentful and,
And your organization needs to focus on people leaders and have people taking care of each other.
And bringing out the best in people. Not only not harming them, let's start there, but we can do better. And it's also bringing out their best. Playing to their strengths, giving them stretch projects because you believe in people and you see what they're capable of.
Tell me an organization, don't have to name them, but that did this well, and how did they do it well? Like, what was different in it?
So one I'm working with right now is doing this managers training, and managers are kind of like, oh, what is all this? And oh my God, they're all freaking out. And it's like, you are going to be the one who benefits the most from this. Because there's going to be fewer team dynamics and awkwardness. There's going to be less incivility. There's going to be fewer, these stressful moments when you go home and you're like, oh my God, do I really need to go in tomorrow? Your job satisfaction will increase. Your life satisfaction will increase. So part of it is, kind of illustrating those benefits. But when managers start to use the skills, people notice it. And to me, that's when the shift starts happening. Yeah. So when people are like, okay, that was weird. My manager asked me how I was doing, and he never does that. And it's awkward at first because everyone's like, are you actually asking? Or is this just like a formula of politeness, And then over time, relationships start to thaw and start to warm up a little bit. And now we're having different conversations where people are valued for who they are, what they bring, not just for the work they do. But managers also start to discover another side of themselves. It's not just how I do the work, but it's how I am as a person. And that kind of frees them up a little bit to bring more of themselves to work. Because generally people are nice. And generally managers are nice people. It's about, you can show us that. It's okay, right? So it's really just kind of creating that shift. And it doesn't take a lot. It's really just saying, you can do this. In fact, you already do. In fact, it's probably what you do with your kids and your partner.
And like you rightly said, you just have to brace for that initial awkwardness and know that it'll pass, and then things kind of then shift from there.
And it's also making a good case for why we're including well-being as part of your job description now. I think that's sometimes the resistance.
That is a very interesting piece that you're saying, that where you put well-being, your team's well-being as part of your job profile or your KPI, right?
Yeah.
That needs to kind of come in.
It is, yeah. So that's often where the resistance is, because people are like, wow, I didn't sign up for this. I know, and here it is. So, it's kind of having conversations around, what does that mean? Like, do I need to now become a psychologist or a coach? No, you don't. But you simply need to notice and ask the right questions, refer onwards if need be. But yes, that is part of your job.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go.
And companies, are starting.
Okay, I'm going to go maybe take a right turn from on this road, right?
Yeah.
Which is, and it just came to me when you were saying this, is that Dubai has a very, very large sales team, in different industries. Business development and sales it's like a big thing, right? If you are unemployed and you want a job and you say you're a business development person, you're likely to find a job faster than any other job profile as such. Right. And we have real estate booming right now. Yeah. We have so many industries, right? Everything's booming, right? and business. But people who do sales, it's high pressure. Yeah. They are tied to targets. At some point, they forget what life is like without targets, right? Their entire identity and sense of self and the high of life and the kick in life, so to say, comes from that sale and money
and their salary depends on it.
And their salary depends on it. Life satisfaction, well-being, happiness. Yeah. How do they keep one eye on it or keep it at least within the...
Yeah, this is a bit harder.
Yeah. How do they do
that? I would say here it's kind of that approach to look, sales is not for everybody. You kind of have to have the right personality because you will be told no 89 times a day. And that hurts. And no matter how good you are, you hear that 89 times a day and you're like, oh my God, I'm awful. Yeah. So being very resilient, also being optimistic, being hopeful, but also having a plan B, because it is hard in Dubai and your salary depends on it, right? So having a little bit of a cushion can be helpful, although sometimes it might give you a little bit more motivation.
Yeah.
But there, I would say it's really those psychosocial assets that people bring to the role that they bring. And there, I think it's just really having a tremendous amount of resilience to see you through. Yeah. But also, this is where we see that people who are happier, people who are more optimistic, people who are better at relationships also tend to do better in business development. So amplifying these qualities in yourself can also help you be more successful at work. Right. So well-being is not only to stop you from burning out and avoiding the bad, but it can also help you be better at what you do.
Right. And I think maybe that the perspective needs to shift from avoiding burnout to evolving and growing.
How do I grow
and
in this?
Grow with this. Yeah. Okay. The word resilience. Yeah. If you had to define it, and especially with Gen Z, right? They find it very hard to be emotionally resilient. As a relationship coach, I cannot tell you how many, I call them kids in their 20s, early 30s, who struggle with the smallest thing said to them, the smallest thing that doesn't work for them or going in their favor, because the noise of judgment, shame, fear of failure. It's very loud in their world. It's really very loud. And social media augments it, right? Because they're constantly looking at somebody else living the life and it's not happening for them.
Yeah.
So break down resilience for me.
I mean, the traditional definition, the way we all understand it, is bend so you don't break. Okay. But what does that mean in real terms? It means expect to feel not so good and learn quickly so that you can start to feel better.
That's an expect to feel not so good and learn quickly so you can feel better.
Yeah. I just made that up.
But that's nice. It's even if you made that up, that's a very simple.
I just made that up.
It's easy to understand definition.
No, but and I think especially with young people, you think, and here's where I was feeling an old grandma in my day, but it's true, right? Like that's the point of struggle.
Yeah.
Is so that you become who you are. And if you remove struggle, you never find who you are. Yeah. And so we've got this generation of kids who maybe, and I hate to call them kids as well, but we've removed all struggle.
Yeah.
So, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a medal, everybody gets a certificate for showing up, even if you did really badly. Now, it's not to say we're going to tell people, wow, you suck at that. Like, that's not nice either. Yeah. But no, you didn't get first.
Yeah.
You got fifth instead. And here's what you could do to do better. Yeah. And I know you can. I believe in you. So here's what we could do to help you improve.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes it's okay to get that feedback. So I guess my advice is don't be so scared of feeling bad. So there's feeling bad, and then we add an extra layer of being fearful of feeling bad, which makes the bad compounded by 10.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're not going to break. We're all naturally resilient to a degree. And yes, it feels bad. And, we all lay in our bed and cry and eat ice cream and watch Netflix when we're feeling bad. That's also normal.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of figure things out.
Yeah.
And eventually you'll get sick and tired of laying there and you'll get up and try something else, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's about finding way, like, okay, you don't want to screw up at work. So are there other areas in your life you could purposefully mess up to get used to failing, to get used to getting feedback and hearing things about yourself that you're kind of like, ouch, that hurt, but what could be true about this? And thank you for telling me, because if that's what everybody's thinking, thank you, right?
Yeah.
So what can I do about that? So I think part of it is about having courage.
That's having courage, being brave, being bold, taking a chance, right?
And that includes feeling bad.
Yeah. Because the person who goes to bungee jump is feeling afraid. That's a not natural emotion. It doesn't matter how much of a thrill seeker you are. You've just shifted fear to excitement in your head. You've just moved it into a box and you've gone for it, right? So there are people who do this.
Or you just let it happen and then you get to the bottom and you're like, okay, now I'm hanging upside down. I don't know what to do. But I didn't die. It wasn't as bad as I thought. So I think the other thing people do is, we try to, this get confidence first and then do something. No, stop waiting. Confidence is not like the pizza delivery. It doesn't happen, right?
Yeah.
You have to take action first. And that includes feeling bad, being freaked out, not knowing what you're doing. Guess what? This is called adulting. We all do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we learn.
Yeah. So the role that resilience plays in happiness, life satisfaction.
It's a lot, because the more resilient you are, look, life is going to bat you in all directions.
It's going to whack you around a bit.
That's just how it goes. And being happy doesn't mean that doesn't happen. Being happy means you're resilient enough so that when it does, you allow yourself to feel bad, learn the lesson, figure it out, get up and try again. That's part of it. So the more resilient you are, the shorter that is, the quicker you get up, and the less likely you are to feel bad for long, extended periods of time, or the less likely you are to avoid taking risks so that you don't get hurt, but which also means you don't grow.
Yeah.
And you will not be happy over time.
Yeah. Okay. Last question to wrap this up. Interesting conversation, and we can go on. But Here's my second last question. There's a last one after that. But here's what I want to know is if people on an individual level could shift one thing to make work happier for them.
Careless.
I
know that sounds like a bit of a paradox.
Yeah, but it is an interesting word when you're not telling them to be careless. Like, don't care about, be frivolous or like be irresponsible. You're asking them to care less.
Yeah. Today I was on LinkedIn and I saw somebody who posted, I'm celebrating my 10-year anniversary. And she shows this paper certificate. And I thought, I just started laughing out loud. People are like, are you okay? I'm like, I just find this hilarious. Yeah. I find it hilarious because we worry about work so much. Yeah. And you know what you get at the end? A pen and a certificate. It's actually funny.
Yeah.
Right? Do your job. You want to do it to the best of your ability so you can feel good.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a job.
Yeah. I think one of the questions I ask a lot of my clients is, what is your work supposed to do for you? Yeah. You need to have clarity about that before you start figuring this out. Otherwise, you're going to be with a pen and a certificate and celebrating that when
so distraught because it didn't yield what you thought it would do.
Yeah.
And this is where having a life outside of work, a compelling life, not just a life of laundry, Netflix, but a compelling life, one where you leave at 5 because you're like, yes, I'm going to go do whatever it is I'm doing. That's the counterbalance to stress at work. So when you have a good life outside of work, stress at work isn't that big of a deal.
It's tolerable.
And you don't care as much because you have other good things going on. So part of it is, care a little bit less. Nice. But continue to do your job well.
Yeah. I think that one word is kind of, it's I hope that I know who's going to struggle with it, the kids. Because if they care less, then they won't be seen and they won't be heard, and there's going to be a whole overthinking side to it, and but how and but why.
So again, like you said, do well.
Yeah. But exactly.
But don't invest your entire identity.
Your life and death does not depend on this one thing. Don't make it such.
Don't make it
Don't make it such.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, I promise. If you had to name 1, 2, 3, whatever, KPIs for happiness, the way you define it, what is it?
For managers?
Anybody. In general, just tell me.
I would say social capital in workplaces.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean, social capital
in workplaces? So the
workplaces?
perception that people are there for you, but also you have enough of a network, not just in your little team, but in cross departments, upstairs, downstairs, all over, people that you could go to say, hey, Bob, finance, I know because I met you in the elevator a couple of weeks ago. Here's my question. So we can gain knowledge from other people. We can use people effectively to help us do our jobs, but also to bring out the best in us. This is what social capital is in workplaces. Yeah. So I would say the level of social capital, that's something we can measure. Psychological safety, again, is a big one. But I would also just add a really simple question, and the S&P 500 has done lots of studies around this, and researchers from Oxford University. It's a very simple question. Are you happy at work?
Are you happy
at work?
Yeah. It's a yes or no.
Or kind of, or totally not at all. That is the one question we need to be asking people.
Yeah.
Not will they be honest or not. Again, if
and the layers that it comes out. Yeah.
But to me, that's the question. Are you happy at work?
Social capital, psychological safety, and the brutal honest truth. Are you happy at work? Yeah. Well, thank you very much. This was a very interesting conversation. There's so much that we've gained in this. And I'm going to go home with careless. Because I like that word.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. So we're going to go home with that.
I
hope that you can take that as well. And we'll see you again on another episode of Humans at Work soon. Thank you.